Because I feel like we're in a moment in like history, we're very privileged because we feel like everything's possible. You might as well take advantage of it.
So after doing, say, a brand strategy workshop where they identify the why, the mission, the customers that they want to attract, we'll typically outline a series of actions that we believe, or opportunities that we believe the company can take to start moving in that direction. So things might look like redoing all the copy or messaging on their website. That might be an action that we uncover in the brand strategy workshop. Another one might be how we look. So the brand identity and the how the business looks visually, those things might need to change to be perceived at the customer's end of a business they want to work with. And that usually happens through messaging, so through what we say as a business, and it happens through how we show up visually, and it happens through where we show up. It also happens in the whole experience that a customer has with the business. So one of the things that I do in brand strategy workshops is I'll outline the customer journey that a customer will go through. Like, it's like the relationship that the customer has with the business. So from the moment they hear about the business, then they're considering working with them. Maybe they're comparing them to other businesses that offer the same thing, to realizing they want to work with them, and the relationship with that business, and then why do they share? So all the way from becoming aware of the business to buying into them to sharing with their friends. And when we outline that journey, we start to see opportunities of different things the business could do or offer. So new services, maybe it's working on their customer service, maybe it's asking their customers to share about them online. So we look at that journey, and that's when we can really define that journey. That's what's going to give us all of the action points that we're going to have to start working on then after the brand strategy workshop.
If you've written everything about your brand on a paper, but you haven't implemented a single thing, you're screwed, basically. I think this is the worst situation in which you could find yourself. Honestly, I think, and one thing that it took me a while, but I learned over the last years, is that brands are not a one-off thing. The brands evolve, they should evolve, like humans evolve. Like everything is in movement. Nothing is permanent. Why would a brand be? The worst thing you can do is like think too much about your brand and try to strategize too much to the point that like you're not giving it that flexibility or fluidity that the brand needs to like evolve. Okay? Don't overthink your brand. That's my message. Everything can change. It's okay if it changes. Okay? The only way to know if a brand strategy is working is actually executing it. And on the process of executing it, you can shape it. Brand strategy is making a plan on how you will position this brand in the market and understand the key influences of the brand. For me, there's 4 big areas of influence of a brand. It's the community, customers, prospects, thought leaders, partners, there's competitors, companies that are playing in the same space, in the same category. Then you have obviously the company, and then you have the culture, the context in which this brand lives. This set of components only looks in the way it looks when you're doing the brand strategy today. Like 3 years from now, all these components have moved around, culture has changed, blah, 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 blah. So ideally, you would be like evolving that thing. A lot of brands have the same purpose or like the same articulation for like gazillion years or like many years. I feel like that's good because familiarity is important for branding because it builds trust, and trust is the glue. It's the essential element that every brand is trying to achieve. And that trust eventually on a commercial space will translate to money. More trust, more money. Easy.
There is all the strategic work, but the number one thing for me, putting it in front of customers very early. Here's my idea. Will you pay for this? And I don't mean like the idea. I mean an MVP, minimal viable product. This is valuable to customers. I launched Core, the product that I'm known for, with like the bare minimum things that needed to be done in it. And as a digital download, before Core, I had something called Agency in a Box, where I didn't even have all the things put together. I just listed everything that would go and showed examples, did a webinar, told people, hey, this is $1,500. You have everything you need to run your agency. This is in 2013. It was an experiment. For this weekend, during the webinar period, from Friday to Monday, it'll be $900. So you're saving $600. boom, that was the first test. You sold $5,000 worth of those things. And I also told everybody that I would deliver it like at the end of the month, so I didn't have time to put it together and deliver it to the people that paid. Why were those people willing to pay? Because I spent 2 years on a network, a YouTube network, an early YouTube network, doing a show called This Week in Web Design.
I led many MVPs in my lifetime. And one of the things that I learned, especially working for Disney, it shouldn't feel incomplete. It shouldn't be because I'm an MVP should be a bad experience and justified. Because for your customers, it's 100%. It's the experience you are recommending to them. So if you start with the wrong foot, you lost them forever. So you need to think about your customer, the experience, what's the long term, what are you promising, what's the 100%. It should be a happy, minimum viable product. I would say that it should be investing in quality. Quality is the best business plan. If your MVP, it's a phenomenal quality, whatever product is, that's great. But it's a wrong thing that is a little bit broken, but you need to test it anyways, you're going to create the wrong impression, your own associations with your product. They're going to associate you with something unfinished, something bad quality, something not good enough. And that's not the way you want to create relationships with someone. It's like when you go to an interview, a work interview or a teacher interview, whatever. If you say the wrong things and you behave like, I don't care or whatever, what is the impression that you're going to give, the image that you create? You don't care, you don't like being here, then you're not good enough for whatever you're here. That's the same thing. Building a product and launching an experience to try to convince someone to put their money for or use your experience on your product should be a great experience, should improve their lives, should be better for them, should be better than other things. I always say that MVP is not an excuse.
I feel one massive major problem that I see in literally every single business that I have found is the tension and the conflict and the difference of opinions between short term, long term. I feel the companies that are able to balance short term and long term are really well positioned. And I haven't seen that many brands that are able to do that. It's very complicated. A lot of the times when you're focusing on short term and you're trying to increase, sales for this quarter or finish the year with a big bang, you will tend to do things that might not be great on the long term. Now, if you're only thinking long term, you might be only looking at your reputation or long-term relationships, and you might be out of business, so you don't get there. So this week, what are you going to do? Build a product, you're going to try to sell it? Or are you going to make videos on YouTube hoping that in 2 years, 3 years from now, you're making money from AdSense, you get good reputation, people are calling you for more jobs? How do you manage that? I feel like that's the main challenge. People, how a lot of people do, they have budgets for their monthly expenses, at home or in their business have a yearly budget. I have not heard that many people that have a budget for time. Sometimes when people look at my calendar, people are like, oh my God, this is so stressful, it's so packed, the things. I use my calendar as my budget for time. So anything that I want to do, I make sure it has a time dedicated. It also works as a log. So I can go 3 weeks ago and be like, oh, I was spending 1 day a week in content. Now I'm spending 2 days a week in content. This is how I think about it. I use time as a way to understand priorities and be very mindful of what I wanna do with my life, the year or the quarter, whatever measure of time that I'm looking at.
Before I started working on Detect Gene, my day was very structured. I went to the lab and worked on my projects. I had a pretty regular daily routine so that I knew when I could stop working each day. Now, at Detect Gene, my daily routine has become quite unstructured. You have to deal with a lot of meetings. Coordinating meetings so that everyone has time can also be a challenge. So some meetings are held late in the evening. Therefore, my daily routine has become much longer thanks to Detect Gene. But on the positive side, it has become very interactive. I have a lot of meetings online, but also in person.
What motivates me is working independently. I can get up in the morning, structure my day, set my own goals, and then of course hope that I've worked through as much of them as possible by the end of the week. It's not often that you get a sense of accomplishment. I think that should be obvious when you're embarking on such a long journey, but it's exactly these small, few moments that motivate and make it especially fun when you experience success.
So what about fear to failing? You shouldn't. If you really believe that you can change someone's life, that you can improve this world, you shouldn't be afraid of failing, because failing is going to give you a lot of learning. And that learning can be translated into a new opportunity or an improvement to the thing that failed to correct the course of your initiative. If you think first, what are you going to do? And you create your business as a hypothesis, as a prototype to test year over year. But thinking long term, in 10 years, we want to achieve this. In order to achieve this in 10 years, we need to do this early on, like we reverse engineer. So if you fail somewhere in the middle, you can correct course because you know where you're going. That's what a strategy gives you. If you fail to connect with your customers, if you thought about it, you're going to have enough tools to understand that, hey, is that the wrong customer that originally defined? Or maybe you need to rethink the type of customer that has the problem that you assume that are, or it is the right customer, but you're bringing it the wrong solution. It's an experiment. You try different things, but either way should be conceived as a learning. And the best entrepreneurs are the ones that fail fast, fail often. That's what they say. So you are able to learn quickly to correct the course. But the ones that fail fast and fail often and got stuck or they have to shut down are the ones that didn't have a plan early on.
First, I don't think it's possible to fail in business until you've completely given up and you shut everything down. So when you make that decision and close your business, that could be considered a failure. It could also just be considered the right choice. And so I do think that throwing good money after bad is not always the greatest choice. So there are some businesses that really shouldn't be around anymore, and that's okay. This is the natural life cycle of things. That being said, it's only done when you as the founder are done. And so if you bring this bulletproof mindset, we're going to try some things that don't work. We're going to do some things that might seem crazy, and they might not all result in the thing that we're thinking of. But that just means we're going to run another test. We're going to do something else that's crazy. And so if you can have this like bulletproof, never die mindset, while balancing that with a reasonable work-life balance, I think that that's the best mindset to have when entering into business.
Many things are born from failure. Also, as an entrepreneur, I don't trust anyone who hasn't gone through it in their businesses. If you're a designer and you're watching this, if you're creative, the two things that you need to know about failure are, one, you need to do it. You need to fail. You need to see what it feels like, whatever it is. So start a lot of little experiments and do it and then mess up. You know why? Tell me one entrepreneur who hasn't messed things up. How many rockets has Elon Musk launched to blow up on the damn platform, That's it. Something that I've had to learn is that I'm not my business, me as an individual, my value. I've attached my value a lot to the community, how I serve them. My power, the ability to create new ideas and new businesses was lower because I was so attached to it being me. And now we're entering this new space where you can almost do any digitally and otherwise with content. So what's the only thing that stops people is fear of failure. So fail a lot, get used to it, and do it again, do it again. Do it again. The way that I've been separating that more and more, meaning my identity as a professional, my businesses, doing the dishes, enjoying my day, meditating, connecting with my people in my community, having life be now and the business simply being these things that you're doing, like planting plants, etc. That's over here. And you're not your business. You're not your mind. You're not any of those things. You're sovereign from whatever you do. That gives you fearlessness. That'll let you start anything and do anything because you're not afraid of failure. The pirates abandon hope, all ye who enter here. You have no fear of death. And you fly the black flag, the Jolly Roger, which has a skull and bones on it. You don't care. That's what makes you a successful entrepreneur.
One thing that we all can do is learn how to embrace the unknown, because that's the one thing that's always going to be around is the unknown, and being more and more comfortable with handling the unknown when it does come. And I think that comfort does come through failing. So if we understand that it's just learning, it's just another opportunity to learn, and that if we do see ourselves and our identity as a learner, then when those times of failure come, we're not defined by that success, so it's okay. We're defined by the fact that we're a learner and we can grow. So I think having that mindset of who you are and your identity in that would help people as they grow.
So, my personal recommendation is, if you have an idea, talk about that idea and don't try to keep it to yourself. That won't get you anywhere. The most important thing is to just do it. I think that's the biggest hurdle. Having an idea, but not doing anything to bring it to life.
What qualities would I want if I were to start all over again? This is ironic, because I think if I thought about the qualities I had then, I would be missing other qualities. So I would say that there is no perfect answer. You just have to start somewhere.
Richtig. Oder?